And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children into the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is in thy neighbor's.
All praises. How y'all doing? As always, y'all know how I feel about you. I'm happy to see y'all. Happy to be here. Made it through another week, and that's a blessing for sure. So yeah, we picking up where we left off. Oneness of self. This is part 6. Yeah, I don't think it's no new faces in here today, so we're gonna bypass this. Y'all know what's in the disclaimer. We're gonna jump straight in. We left off last week here. And we asked the question, can you give some examples of how your member/senses can be used for sin? And then we asked the question, can this same member/sense be used for righteousness? And if used for both, is this oneness? So then we looked at these lists here, right? So we established that these are like doors that allow for things to go in and come out of the heart, your senses, right? And then we said, your mouth, it can be used for slander, tale-bearing lies, false oaths, not keeping your word, gossip, backbiting, murmuring, complaints, cursing, which is desiring ill to others, foolish jesting, lewd speech, murderous speech, weaponizing your silence, manipulation, deceitful speech, gluttony, eating of unlawful foods, drunkenness, right? And it's more things that we can add to that list if we really think about it, right? So like we saw how one member, it can get you in a lot of trouble. Like just this one member. And then keep in mind, for most of us, if we whole, that the mouth isn't the only thing that we got. We got that plus all the other members that we got to keep in check, right? So yeah, we're gonna kind of start going in that direction a little bit. Zakane Kadosh, if you could just pull this down just a hair. Like, or is the monitors up high? Like, cause I feel like if I start really projecting in it, like I'm going to start hitting the ceiling on some feedback. Okay. All praises. So we told me, all praises. All right. So yeah, today we're going to focus on a few things with regard to the mouth, right? So now before we jump off into this, keep in mind this is a judgment-free zone, all right? This is the Mishpachah. So the idea here is when we're going through these lessons, it's not for us to be looking somewhere else, right? We're supposed to be looking at ourselves, and as long as we're doing that, then we good. But if we looking somewhere else, then we already done. You might as well leave now because the rest of the lesson is not going to make sense, right? So with that being said, if we all looking at ourselves and we all understand that, okay, there's something that I can glean from the word to make me better, then it should be a judgment-free zone, right? Whatever issues, if today's lesson is your issue, then and it's not mine, and it's my job if I'm not coming in with a judgmental mindset and I'm trying to make me better, and if I can get me better, then I can help you get better, then that's what the thing is. If this is for you, right, then the goal is hopefully we can pair up with one another, and where I'm strong and you weak, we can help one another, because where I'm weak, you might be strong, right? So I just say all of that to say this is a judgment-free zone. All right. So James 3:1. So it says, not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, knowing that we shall receive greater judgment, for we all stumble in many matters. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle the entire body. Look, we put bits in the mouths of horses for them to obey us, and we turn their body. Look at the ships too. Although they are so big and are driven by strong winds, they are turned by a very small rudder wherever the pilot intends. So it kicked off. Gotcha. All right. There we go. Should be. All praises. So where were we? Verse 5. He says, so too the tongue is a little member, yet boasts greatly. See how a little fire kindles a great forest. And then, like, it's so much truth to that. Like, we've been seeing California every year is on fire, and it's like somebody tossed a cigarette out and now the whole forest is burning up. Like, it don't take much when the conditions are right, right? So it says, and the tongue is a fire, the world of unrighteousness. Among our members the tongue is set, the one defiling the entire body and setting on fire the wheel of life, and it is set on fire by Gehinnom. For every kind of beast and bird, of reptile and creature of the sea is tamed and has been tamed by mankind, but no man is able to tame the tongue. It is unruly, evil, filled with deadly poison. With it we bless our Elohim and Father, and with it we curse men who have been made in the likeness of Elohim. Out of the same mouth proceed blessing and cursing. My brothers, this should not be so. Does the fountain send forth the sweet and the bitter from the same opening? Now, you see how this is, like he said, out of the same mouth proceed both blessing and cursing. And that this is something that shouldn't be so. In the garden, there was a tree that was mixed with both what? Good and evil, right? Now, there was one tree that was only a blessing, but then now we seeing what we operating off of, right? Now, our mouth should be to speak life, but sometimes we might allow a mixture to come out of it. And he's saying this shouldn't be so. So it's time that we examine ourselves, right? Isaiah 55:6. He says, "Seek Yahuwah while he is to be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wrong forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahuwah, who has compassion on him, and to our Elohim, for he pardons much. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yahuwah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Right? So it's today, right? Today is today, right? So that means we still got a today where we can turn to him. So again, judgment-free zone. If you find yourself as we going through these lessons and that the shoe fits you, just wear it. And if you don't like the way they fit, trade them shoes in and get something that actually fit properly, right? It's just as simple as that, right? So Psalm 95:6, "Come, let us bow down and bend low. Let us kneel before Yahuwah our Maker. For he is our Elohim, and we are the people of his pasture and the sheep of his hand. Today, if you would hear his voice, do not harden your hearts as in Meribah, as in the day of Massa in the wilderness, when your fathers tried me, have proved me, though they saw my work. For 40 years I was grieved with that generation and said, there are people who go astray in their hearts, and they do not know my ways, as I swore in my wrath, if they enter into my rest." Right? So, again, while we have today, we got all the opportunity to, if we find that these lessons are speaking to anything that we're struggling with, we got today to work on it, put the best foot forward, and start putting in that work, right? The only thing that can hurt us in this situation is if we do like what our fathers did in that wilderness and keep trying them and keep trying them. That's the only thing that can hurt us, right? And why would we do that? Maybe pride. Maybe we don't want to look in the mirror and accept what it is that we are, but that's not going to help us. So, like we said in the previous lesson, humility is going to be key through this process. But as long as we got that and we got a willingness, then he's merciful. We don't have a loss in that, right? 1 John 1:5, "And this is the message which we have heard from him and announced to you, that Elohim is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If we say that we have fellowship with him and walk in darkness, we lie and are not doing the truth. But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach, his son, cleanses us from all sin. If we say that we have no sin, we are misleading ourselves, and the truth is not in us. If we confess our sins, he is trustworthy and righteous to forgive us the sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say that we have not sinned, we make him a liar, and his word is not in us." 2 Corinthians 13:5, "Examine yourselves whether you are in the belief. Prove yourselves. Or do you not know yourselves that Yahushua HaMashiach is in you, unless you are disapproved?" So again, only way that we can lose in this is by not looking in the mirror, right? That's it. As long as we willing to look in the mirror and say, hey, this is what I am. This is how we come boldly, quote unquote, before his throne for what we need, right? Hey, this is where I'm struggling. This is an issue for me. This is my weak point. This is my chink in my armor, right? So now lead and guide me in this area so that I can get where you want me to be. And I want to do it your way, right? So as long as we do that and we're willing to humble ourselves to the master, then we'll be all right. So, all right. So controlling your members. The mouth. Let me ask y'all, why is it important that we gain control over our mouth? Okay. She said the power of life and death. Mm-hmm. It's in the what? It's in the tongue, right? Okay. All right.
By words we're judged for. Whether
Okay.
good or bad.
All praises.
The word says that you could set your whole life on fire. It says this could set the whole course of your life on fire by what you say.
All praises.
I think a lot of times your emotions is what conveys the words that come out of your mouth. So you have to actually control your inner emotions that will keep you from saying things, because you can say some things and then turn around and thinking about it, and you have to go back and apologize. So your emotions have to be in check in order for your mouth not to say things or say some things that will contribute to the issues or to the problems.
All praises. Excellent point. All praises. So, is it possible that your mouth can keep you out of the kingdom? Yes. So, we realize how important it is that we gain control over it, right? Because we can do right in all of the other areas, but if we can't tame the mouth, that might be the very thing that keeps you out of the kingdom, right? And let me ask y'all this. Go ahead.
Shabbat Shalom. Me personally, it's a scary verse is, if you deny him in front of people, he's going to deny you in front of the Father.
Excellent point.
Are you shy? Oh, I'm in the cult, or why with the fringes, or you part of the ICE, other camps. Like, nah, we're different than that. We go off the scripture, and I gotta let him know, hey, I'm for Messiah, and this is what I believe in, and he's gave us the example to do it right.
All praises.
I would say with our tongue, we make vows, which can get us in trouble.
All praises. Excellent point.
I think you said a mouthful in James 3:1. My brethren, be not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation, because you have God's people in front of you, and the things that you speak is going to either be unto life or it's going to be unto death. And that's big time, especially when you're leading God's people.
All praises. That's a segue into what my next question was. Like, when we use our mouth reckless, which of the two ways are we walking in? Are we walking in the way of life, or are we walking in the way of death? Right? So it's something for us to think about, and it's so easy to just use your mouth. Right? 1 Corinthians 6:9, he says, do you not know that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim? Do not be deceived, neither those who whore, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor homosexuals, nor thieves, nor greedy of gain, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor swindlers shall inherit the kingdom of Elohim. And such were some of you, but you were washed, but you were set apart, and you were declared right in the name of the Master Yahusha, and by the Spirit of our Elohim. All right, so a reviler is a person using rude, foul, insulting, or abusive language. Right? Your mouth, absolutely, 100%, can keep you out of the kingdom. If you use that member for unrighteousness, it will keep you out of the kingdom. Right? Luke 6:43, for a good tree does not yield rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree yield good fruit. For each tree is known by its fruit. For they do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. The good man brings forth what is good out of the good treasure of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart, his mouth speaks. This goes back to the point that Elder was just bringing up, right? Whatever is in you, a lot of times the mouth is like a release valve for what's in your heart. Right? You ever see like a propane tank or an air tank of some sort? It's got all this under all this pressure, and you twist the top, you release that valve, and it starts to come out. Right? Mouth can get us in trouble. And it can especially get us in trouble if we're not aware of our own emotions and the things that are in our hearts. Right? Because now the mouth is just letting everything pass by, no check and balance. And hopefully you got a conscience that's intact enough that at the end, when you go back and you think about it, be like, I shouldn't have said that. I know But I don't want to get too ahead of myself because we're going to deal with that too, because there is a process. You know, you got to ask yourself the question. So in the event that happens, which it does from time to time, even with the quote unquote righteous, okay, well, what do we do in the event that happens? Is there a course of action for correction? Right? So I hope we realize that the mouth is a tell of what's going on in a person's heart. If one is accustomed to using their mouth for unrighteousness, what does this say about the condition of their heart? Maybe there's some unrighteousness in your heart that you got to work through, right? And unrighteousness comes in all sorts of forms and fashion, right? It can, it's not just one thing that can come out of the mouth, right? Like the mouth is adaptable. It'll adapt its speech to all kinds of manners of wickedness, right? Whether it be hateful speech, unforgiveness, you name it. The mouth can do a lot, right? He said it boasts of many things, many great things. So if gossip, slander, lies, lewd speech, hatred, unforgiveness, anger, strife, debates are commonly found on your lips, what does this indicate about the heart of the person? Right? Like you have to start to look at yourself and say, well, wait a minute, am I always finding myself in one of these situations? And if I am, what is that saying about my heart? Right? Now, we talked about in earlier lessons how the heart is and how it doesn't want to see itself. So if you don't actually take a second to examine yourself and examine your actions and your behaviors and the consequences of your actions and behaviors, then you might continue to move on with no conviction. Right? But if you're being real with yourself and being honest with yourself, okay, is there everywhere where I go, literally everywhere I go, there is no place I can go without my mouth getting me in trouble? And if that's the case, and if this is you, then you got to take the time to stop and say, okay, let me pull out the mirror and am I using my mouth in the way that the Father would have me use it, or am I going astray and doing my own thing? Elder? Say that one more time.
I said, in other words, your mouth is going to reflect what's in your heart.
Absolutely.
So if you are angry, upset all the time, or feeling any of these things that's negative, it's going to be reflected coming out your mouth. Mm-hmm. So you have to do an internal search within your own self to come to find out, why am I so angry? And what am I angry at? Mm-hmm. You know, and why am I pouring my anger out on someone else? You know, so you definitely have to reflect on your own self and your inside of your own heart to do a assessment, you know, of what you're feeling inside of you. Because if you got the ruach inside of you, then you shouldn't have a lot of this anger issues, or you should be able to curtail some of these issues before they come out of your mouth.
Mm-hmm. All praises.
Yeah, and it can cause division in the groups and stuff. And people with power use their mouth the wrong way. It cause wars and destruction too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All praises.
And we could be talking a good talk, but then behind closed doors, walk the opposite direction. So looking in the mirror, and then just like you showed in the scripture, I mean, we're going to be judged because we know the word. So.
All praises.
I was just going to say that the tongue can heal or destroy.
Mm-hmm. All praises.
Even Even though we can fool, people with mouth and everything, but the scripture says you honor me with your lips, but your heart's far from me.
All praises.
I'm gonna land back off of your off in the W, where she was saying that the mouth can destroy. I know with this, I was at work and I was going through a really rough time at work because I was working on something that was really hard, frustrating, time consuming, and on top of that's 100 degrees, and I had a tenant who has always seen me as this guy who goes through singing and praising the Most High, speaking kindly. And this tenant was actually at the point where they was pretty much, they I don't want to call it bad dream, but they was really getting to that last push on that nerve, And though I did not say anything rude, I just let her know, please, if you could continue with this, I'm going to say some things that you're not going to like. You're going to force, I said, you're going to put me in a corner where I'm going to feel like I'm going to have to curse you out in order for you to understand. And as I got back in this hole that I was dating, in this 4-foot hole I was standing in, the Most High just put it back on me. They've always seen me with the love of Yah walking through there. And at this particular time, I wasn't showing his love. I was showing the frustration that I had taken out on somebody else that they didn't have. They just came for a legitimate reason, but it's just the way that they did it that really pushed me to, and it caused me to really reflect on how and I had to get up out of that hole and go to this woman's door. I walked from the hole to her door, all the way to her apartment, knocked on her door, and I had to give her the biggest heartfelt apology because the words that we use are either going to make or break relationships. They're either going to make or break the way that people see the Most High, because when they see you, this is how they're going to, your actions are going to reflect on how they're going to view him. So this is, that tongue has to be kept under subjection. Even though I didn't say anything bad, I alluded to the point that if you keep pushing me, I'm going to do this, And even though I did not do it, I still had to apologize because I didn't want her feeling like this is the way that Yah proceeds, because that was just out of my own heart. And I had to really look at that all over again.
All praises. It's like Moses striking a staff, or striking a staff on a rock, right? Like,
even like self-reflection, I used to follow certain doctrines. We're studying about doctrines during the week. Last week, it's interesting. We get into that self-evaluation, like the camp doctrine. Oh, the 12 tribes are this part. This part. If you're born in this land, you're Issachar. If you're, I was like, wait a minute, wait. So you got to go back and reevaluate. Is this the word of the Most High? Are we twisting it to fashion or whatever point we're trying to get across, yelling at people out in the corner? That could also draw in, incorrect practices, and then the people leave the word never knowing they wasn't even practicing the word.
That part. Excellent point. Like, our mouth is one of the most noticeable things when it comes to how we represent the Father, or what we represent, whatever it is. You listen to a person long enough, you'll find out what's valuable to them.
Going back to what me and you was talking about earlier, and I was having a conversation with some of the brothers, we know Christ is the Word, and he's in you and you in him. If these things is written on your heart, it shouldn't be contrary to this. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's coming out of your mouth is Christ-like things. Mm-hmm. That's what should be coming out of your heart if he's there, if you're one with him. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be contrary or contradictory.
All praises. All praises.
That goes back to what we were learning last night, that we shouldn't put ourselves in the place of the Most High or anything that we have, and that could lead people astray as well. If you put yourself up here and looking down at others and teaching them the wrong thing. That will lead more people astray than bringing them to.
All praises. All praises. So the question is, if this is you, what does this say about you, right? And remember, just because you wouldn't describe yourself in this way, this doesn't mean that other people that interact with you wouldn't describe you that way, right? So be honest with yourself. Does any of these behaviors go before you when you enter the presence of others? If this is the case, perhaps it is worth you considering, am I misusing my mouth, and will this misuse cause me to miss the kingdom? Right? Like, a lot of times, y'all have heard me say this before, like your greatest strength can be your greatest weakness. Sometimes a misuse or an abuse of something that the Father wants to be used for his esteem you can misuse it or abuse it, and then now it's only being used for your destruction, right? So just keep all of that in mind. So Romans 1:28, it says, and even as they did not think it worthwhile to possess the knowledge of Elohim, Elohim gave them over to a worthless or a reprobate mind to do what is improper, having been filled with all unrighteousness, whoring, wickedness, greed, evil, filled with envy, murder, fighting, deceit, evil habits, whispers, slanders, haters of Elohim, insolent, proud, boasters, devisers of evil, disobedient to parents, without discernment, covenant breakers, unloving, unforgiving, ruthless, who though they know the knowledge of Elohim, or the righteousness of Elohim, that those who practice such deserve death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So, again, it's a whole list of things that can keep you shut out of the Father's kingdom. And your mouth is responsible for quite a few of them. So notice here that because their hearts were completely filled with all unrighteousness, the works of unrighteousness are the only things that can pour forth from them. So when one gets to this point, they are only able to produce unrighteousness because there is no good in their hearts. So notice in red, the wickedness in the heart will overflow out of their mouths and their other members, right? On the contrary, the mouth can be used for building up one another as it should be. So Colossians 4:2, continue in prayer, watching therein with thanksgiving, praying at the same time also for us, that Elohim will open to us a door for the word, to speak the secret of Mashiach, for which I am also in chains, so that I make it clear as I should speak. Walk in wisdom toward those who are outside, redeeming the time. Let your word always be with favor, seasoned with salt, so that you know how you ought to answer each one. What is he doing here? Saying that we ought to be looking to Elohim and looking to the Father to guard this mouth, right? It says in Psalm 141, guard my mouth, right? And actually, meanwhile, can somebody pull up, I think it's Psalm 141, 1 through 3, if I'm not mistaken. And go ahead, Akoti.
You asked earlier, is there a course of action for correction? So would those be the course of actions for correction? Like continuing prayer and those scriptures?
Absolutely. Like they can be. And in some cases you need a more specific course of recourse, right? Like for instance, what Ak did earlier, what he said in his testimony earlier, he noticed that he said something that was wrong, and so he took it upon himself to go and correct that specifically with that individual, because a lot of times that's the step that gets skipped. Is we will generally deal with the situation that should have been dealt with specifically, and going to that individual and saying, this is where I offended you, I need to correct this. But yeah, excellent question.
Said 141.
If I'm not mistaken, Psalm 141, 1 through 3.
You want me to read it?
Go ahead. I'll tell you to stop if I'm off.
10-4. Psalm 141, 1. I cry unto thee, make haste unto me, give ear unto my voice when I cry unto thee. Let my prayer be set forth before thee as incense and lifted up from my hands as the evening sacrifice. Set a watch, O mighty.
Okay.
That's it?
No. Continue. Yeah.
Set a watch, O mighty before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Incline not my heart to any evil thing, to practice wicked works with men that work iniquity, and let not eat of their dainties.
Okay, that's good. All right. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was worried there for a second, like, oh, am I? Yeah, off. But nah, I'm told me, oh. So yeah, like set a watch over our mouth. You know, we look into the Father to direct us, lead us, guide us, depending on His ruach to direct us, lead us, guide us. We don't want to be reckless with this mouth. Let me go back. Verse 6, let your word always be with favor, seasoned with salt, so that you know how you ought to answer each one. What does that mean to y'all? Verse 6, he says, let your word always be with favor, seasoned with salt, so that you know how you ought to answer each one. And to go back, verse 5, I'll read it all together. He says, walk in wisdom towards those who are outside, redeeming the time. Let your word always be with favor, seasoned with salt, so that you know how you ought to answer each one. Say that one more time, Elder, for the people in the back.
So I guess you should do an assessment of the situation before you open your mouth.
All praises.
This is Proverbs 16, started at 19. It says, better is it to be of an humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. He that handleth a matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusteth in the Lord, happy is he. The wise in heart shall be called prudent, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that have it, but the instruction of fools is folly.
Mm-hmm. All praises.
What the elder was saying and the brother was saying, it made me think of when the king had the two mothers and the other mother had stole the baby. If I'm incorrect, y'all correct me. But so one of the babies had died while she was sleeping, and she switched the babies out. And he had to use his wisdom to assess the situation and figure out who was the baby. Who was the actual mother and who wasn't. And then he said, okay, let's kill the child. One mother did not care, and the other one's like, okay, I'd rather you give my baby to her so the baby could live versus killing it. So
all praises.
And it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like, if you deny the Messiah, you deny the Most High, and then what you brought up in 141, the evening sacrifice. And that Daniel speaks of, they're going to cease to do I don't want to butcher it. Daniel 9:27, he will confirm a covenant with many, and for 1 7 in the middle of the 7, he will put an end to the sacrifice and offering, the evening sacrifice. So you can see that now play out in certain areas of the world. For example, UK, you can go to jail now if you do the Our Father in Heaven in public. Similar, our faith is going to get tested as we move forward. And are we going to be like Peter? I'm going to deny him 3 times. And then we already have to learn from Peter now. Can't be denying him.
All praises.
I've had a couple incidents, one with my mouth and one listening to someone else to find out their true feelings about me. One was my mouth saying stuff out of my mouth, cursing. I kind of been drifting off into that lately. And so I was in the car with my youngest son, and I had a T-shirt with fringes on it. He pulled my shirt and tugged on it, and I knew exactly what he was talking about, and so I know he's listening. The second one was another one, and it was a call that got rejected because I didn't answer phone fast enough. So I got put on the block, and this is basically one of my kids that is definitely not living right. And she was in the house with her other siblings, and she said some stuff, and it dawned on me. I knew she was the one that said it, but she tried to blame it on another sibling. So I'm like, okay. I hung up. I texted her and told her I didn't appreciate it, but I know that's how she actually feels. So I definitely know that your mouth can reveal a lot.
All praises, absolutely.
We got an online.
We have an online comment. Lana says, I was once told the difference between wisdom and knowledge is one knows the time and place while the other just spews things out of their mouth.
All praises. And shalom, shalom to you out there. But yeah, absolutely. 100%.
When I think about salt, I think about cooking. What happens if you have something that has too much salt?
Ruin the
Doesn't
dish.
taste good. Ruins the taste. Too little salt. Need a little bit more seasoning. So I think about like the flavor of your words. How are you sounding? Your intention, your purpose. Control yourself. Understand. Be considerate of others when you speak. So it's not just you having to just. Let me tell you something. Sit back a little bit. Listen. What is the person trying to say? And then you can be able to give them that salt that they need. They may not need a lot of salt. They may just need just a little taste of it. Just depends on the situation, depends on who you're speaking to and where they are. So I just think about the flavor of it, your intention, and what's your intention when you speak, and why are you speaking? What's the purpose? Is it to help somebody else, or is it to tear somebody else down? You have to be able to ask those questions.
All praises. It's excellent.
I think of what you were stating earlier. Wisdom is the whole key to everything, and when it comes to certain situations, because the Messiah, even himself, when he came to the temple and seen the money changers and things out there, he took it upon his own self to show his dislike of what they were doing. So he took an assessment of it and let them know, my Father's house is a house of prayer. And you out here exchanging money, doing these things that's contrary to his word. So he's displayed, because we don't have to be a walking doormat for people either. You got to understand, that's just where wisdom come in, that you have to use, So if you take an assessment of the situation and then you pray on it and let the Ruach lead you to how you want to address this situation, and that's where you will refrain your mouth from saying things that you don't need to say, or you can't say things that are necessary to be said at that time. But you have to do it in the context of, I would say, love to the most part, and try to keep a lot of anger out of it, but then sometimes you might have to use a little anger in it, because that doesn't dictate I don't love you. I'm just showing you something that you need to correct your own self in a loving manner. It's all according to how you're going to take it.
All praises. So the key is understanding who you're speaking to, and then sometimes, like to your point, there are cases where I can hold you accountable because I know you know better, right? So there's a certain way that I can talk to, say, for instance, my child, that I can't necessarily talk to another person's child if I don't know what they've been raised in, unless it's, say, one of my Mishpachah's child, and I see they child out. No, you know better, right? So I can hold you accountable, but I can't take that same approach with any and every one, right? So like you said, wisdom, it comes down to wisdom a lot of times with how we approach, and how we decide to use our mouth in that situation. Excellent point. All praises.
I know with me personally, I have to listen to understand and not let what someone says and whatever they're talking about one thing trigger me, and then I go off. So I have to listen to understand so whatever they're saying as a whole, and then take a deep breath, and then like, okay, now I can answer instead of just listening to respond.
All praises. That is what we call emotional intelligence, because switch tracking is a thing, right? And then you have some people that know that, and they will gaslight you, like just cause, So yeah, all praises. So Ephesians 4:29, it says, "Let no corrupt word come out of your mouth, but only such as is good for the use of building up, so as to impart what is pleasant to the hearers. And do not grieve the set-apart spirit or set-apart ruach of Elohim, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and displeasure and uproar and slander be put away from you, along with all evil. And be kind towards one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as Elohim also forgave you in Mashiach." Right? So we keep hearing this thing about slandering, backbiting, all of this stuff that the mouth can do, right? And we're going to dig into the slanders, gossips, tale-bearing, and lies. That's about as far as we're going to get today. But what is a slanderer? Right? Slander refers to a false oral statement about an individual that harms his reputation or standing within the community, right? In the example here, we got the one chef, his business is doing good and it's doing better than the other person's business. So he's decided to spread some lies saying, hey, it's rats in there, right? They got rats. Also that he can, now his sales can go up, right? So notice that this is the opposite of how we're supposed to act according to righteousness, right? So now the question is, again, these are self-reflection things. Have you ever found yourself in this situation where you found yourself slandering your mishpakai? So if this was the case, what did you do to resolve the matter? And did your conscience alert you that you did something wrong? Right? And don't worry, like I said, you ain't got to answer that question. It's just out in the open, because these are self-reflective questions, But really think about it and say, okay, does this apply to me? Am I using my mouth for building up, or is this to tear down? Right? So slander is the act of making a false and defamatory statement about someone, damaging their reputation through spoken words. It's a form of defamation, specifically when the damaging words are spoken rather than written. And if it's written, they have a legal term for that that's called libel, but it's the same thing. So key aspects of slander: defamation. Slander is a type of defamation which is the act of damaging someone's reputation by making false statements. Spoken words, unlike libel, written defamation, slander involves spoken words. False statement: the statement must be false to be considered slander. Damage to a reputation: the false statement must harm the person's reputation. And third-party communication: the false statement must be communicated to a third party, not just the person being slandered, right? So it's not slandered if I've said this to your face and we just going back and forth and we're getting understanding on a matter. But if I'm going back behind your back and I'm saying, hey, XYZ, boom, 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 and I'm spreading light, then that's slander, right? Examples of slander: spreading a false rumor about someone's personal life or business dealings, accusing someone of a crime they didn't commit, making false statements about someone's competence or character. And that third one right there that's a really big one within the walk, right? Because we're all, quote unquote, holding one another to certain standards, right? But it's easy for us to start to judge another's, quote unquote, character to someone else other than that person, and then now it can become a thing of slander, right? So, spreading a false rumor. The question then was, what qualifies something as a rumor, and why are they dangerous, right? So what we're going to start doing is peeling back layers to the onion, because what we might just think is a thing that's just surface level, it might really be deeper than that, right? And the consequences of it might be deeper than that. A rumor, and it's now formed as a currently circulating story or report of uncertain or doubtful truth. As a verb, is to be circulated as an unverified account. All right, so remember last week we talked about Torah, we talked about the Tanakh, and we talked about that being a basis for how we move, right? Deuteronomy 19 and 15. Ask yourself, if this is how you use in your mouth, am I actually following Torah? And if I'm not, what's the remedy, right? Again, today is today. If you're hearing this, today is today. And now I have an opportunity today to make some corrections, right? Deuteronomy 19 and 15. One witness does not rise up against a man concerning any crookedness or any sin that he commits. Now, this is not me saying this. This is Torah, right? At the mouth of how many? 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established. And let me tell you, even with that, you still got to be careful, because there is a such thing as a false witness, right? Deuteronomy 19 and 16, it says, when a malicious witness rises up against any man to accuse him of turning aside, then both men who have the dispute shall stand before Yahuwah, before the priests and the judges who serve in those days. Now, if you can recall, this sounds a lot like what Mashiach was saying. When y'all have disputes among one another, how is it supposed to be dealt? You go to that person one-on-one, right? And if that doesn't work, then let's bring how many? 2 or 3 in this thing. And then now if that don't work, then we go before the whole community to try to straighten this matter out, right? Torah, again. It says, and the judges shall diligently search. So they don't just show partiality, because that's against Torah as well, right? They diligently search and see if the witness is a false witness, who has falsely accused his brother. Then you shall do to him as he thought to have done to his brother. What is the consequence? And this is a righteous consequence, right? This is a righteous judgment. So really, again, like I'm saying, we got to really start thinking about this stuff and how the Father views it, because it's easy for our mouth to get us in trouble. Go ahead, up.
This is the reason why at the beginning of every Shabbat we read the 10 Commandments. And you see in the 9th commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Mm-hmm. All praises.
This reminds me in the scriptures when Yeshua and they brought the adulterous woman to him. And you only had the woman. Mm-hmm. Now the scripture tells you bring the man and the woman who has committed that sin. Mm-hmm. But you only brought one, and then you was asking Messiah to judge her. Mm-hmm. He knew the law. Mm-hmm. He knew that you didn't. And then he looked around and said, ain't none of y'all priests. Mm-hmm. Ain't none of y'all even supposed to be up here making this judgment over this woman. You know, because you're supposed to then take it with 2 or 3 witnesses plus the 2 individuals that was committing it. Uh-huh. So, it's like you said, knowing the Torah and walking it is totally different. Mm-hmm. You know, so this reminded me of that situation with Yah and the adulterous woman, and he did not judge none of them because he knew what the law stipulated.
All praises. Now, if he would have prematurely jumped the gun on that and then start making, now he's in wrong, and that was the test. That was how they were trying to trip him up. All praises.
Yeah, and I think it's also too in that situation, because you can go by the letter of the law, but at the same time there's some mercy within that law. Like with King David, he committed adultery and murder, but he didn't get stoned. I mean, it's a lot more that's involved in that or whatnot, but you see the Most High showed him mercy. And even in that story with Yeshua and the woman, if you without sin, go ahead and cast the first stone, because there's going to come a time where you're going to need some of this mercy. And how you going to come and ask of me and you didn't show mercy unto your brother?
All praises. So, like, the key here for us is understanding how to do our due diligence, right? Sometimes, in many cases, especially when we're talking about those of us that's in the walk, a lot of times this just boils down to a misunderstanding, a miscommunication. But we let a miscommunication turn into corrupt communication, and now we dealing with a problem, right?
And I think, lining back on what my brother was saying back there, a lot of people think grace only started in the New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And this is evident that grace was given long before they come to think about when grace was given. Because if it hadn't been for grace, David wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
So and it just lets you know that in the scriptures that a lot of things that we think the New Testament holds always reflects back to the Old Testament.
Yes, sir.
Just like what you were saying last week, why the Torah has to be our foundation. If many of us would just focus on this, many of us wouldn't have issues with, the slandering and gossiping. And then it makes me think too, like all that the mercy Yahuwah has given, he says that he will choose who he will give mercy to. So don't go around thinking, oh, well, so-and-so did it, so I guess I'm good because he gave mercy to him or her. Like, he may not give that same
pass
to you.
Yeah, the same pass.
What's important is that we obey what he's asking us to do in the first place so that you don't have to worry about the possibility of him ending you right there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. All praises. So, verse 19 or verse 20, it says, and let the rest hear in fear and never again do this evil matter in your midst, and let your eye not pardon, life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, right? And then we know Mashiach also said, yeah, the Torah says this, and I'm saying to you, so if you're doing what you're supposed to do, we don't even have to come to this, right? Like, it's a just and a righteous consequence. However, why should it have to come to this if we just love our neighbor as we love ourselves?
Well, a lot of times we don't want to take responsibility for our actions, which started in the Garden of Eden. God came to Adam. He said, thou woman. Then the woman blamed the serpent, And we're still doing it today.
Mm-hmm. All praises. Excellent point.
If you simply strive to just walk in the fruits of the Spirit, you're not going to be no slanderer. Because your words are kind.
Mm-hmm.
They're gentle. They're faithful. They're full of love and joy.
Mm-hmm. All praises.
Looking down at others, just like the tax collector and the Pharisee. Fortunately, a lot of the brothers in the camps, and it's part of our family, but they're still walking into those doctrines. Well, who is our neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
And just because they're not in the walk right now, and that's not considered a neighbor, that's a doctrine right there that causes you to be a false witness on someone.
All praises. All praises. So the question then becomes, do you make it a habit to seek 2 or 3 witnesses before you come to a conclusion on a matter? All right? Did you speak to the person directly before coming to a conclusion on a matter? If no, consider what the Torah teaches about how we are to deal with this sort of issue righteously. Notice, this is the one thing that often leads to slanders, right? If you don't actually get down to the truth of the matter, the next time that you talk about it, it might be based off of a slander or some rumor or something like that, right? So when one has not properly gone through the steps to gain understanding of a matter, they can start to run off with accusations and assumptions. So this is a matter of the heart, filling in the blanks according to an imagination. But this is not based in truth. So when we operate in this way, is it of the Father or is it of Hashatan, the father of lies? So you see how it started as just a little simple thing as, oh, I just said something that I shouldn't have said, right? But when you really start to peel back the layers of the onion and you really think about what it is saying about my heart and how I'm operating, who am I? Because if I'm operating in this way, am I putting up points for the wrong team? Right?
It's like the telephone game. Do you remember that game?
Oh, yeah.
When you have to try to figure out what someone said after passing through like 5 or 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept. Like, if you don't get to the direct source, you may hear something completely different, and then they didn't even say that.
Mm-hmm.
But so-and-so said that he or she said that. It's a telephone game. That's why you have to go to the first, okay, who said it? Well, it came from so-and-so. Let me go to you, and let's talk before you just assume or hear what someone else is saying. Could be completely off.
Granny said, bring me some apples. And somehow that turned into, Granny told me to slap you. Like, somehow it got from that to this. And it's like, what?
When I took business some years ago, it was funny because we did like this little project within the classroom. And it started off like one simple line, like the mouse was white, it ate cheese, and then went back into the hole. And by the time it got to the last person in the classroom, well, a bird was flying and it picked up the mouse. I'm like, what in the world? You know what I'm saying? So as things bounce from person to person, things are getting added, stuff is getting taken away. Don't add or take away. Then it starts to change the word, and then you start to bring confusion. With confusion comes division. Never mind. A whole lot of other stuff that can come from that.
Yes, sir. All praises.
And it's going to be a good indicator. The person that came and told you that, you're going to have to look at them different too. You're going to have to look at them, okay. Then, because when you go to the person and get the original facts of what happened, and then you look at who told you this, so the next time they come and tell you something, you know you're not going to take it with a heart that they telling you the truth, because you know they had previously didn't said some things that weren't true, right? Instead of coming to you and say, well, such and such happened to such and such, you might want to go talk to that person. You know, they going to just repeat something that somebody else told. So that's going to indicate to me that I don't really trust what you say anymore.
You might be the little boy that cried wolf.
And also says in the word to mark those that cause division. So.
All praises. So, go ahead.
Speaking of he said, she said, I've been in that situation in high school where I've heard something that someone said. So I just waited till they all got in the bathroom and was like, so who said what? Everyone's like, no one said nothing.
That sounded like you had that look in your eyes. Whoever said it about to catch some hands. All praises. So Job 1:6. It says, and the day came to be that the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahuwah, and Shaitan also came among them. And Yahuwah said to Satan, or Hashatan, from where do you come? And Hashatan answered Yahuwah and said, from diligently searching in the earth and from walking up and down in it. And Yahuwah said to Hashatan, have you considered my servant over Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a perfect and straight man, one who fears Elohim and turns aside from evil? And Hashatan or Satan answered Yahuwah and said, is Job or Io fearing Elohim for naught? Have you not made a hedge around him and around his household and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand, please, and strike all that he has, if he would not curse you to your face. So, remember I said, is it possible that we might be putting up points for the wrong team? Notice here that Notice what Hashatan is doing. He is standing as an accuser, right? Notice the father, even still knowing what the outcome is on the matter, waits patiently to see what will happen so that he is blameless and clear when he does judge a matter. So one is willing to accuse without full proof, whereas the other is willing to wait the matter out and judge based on facts, right? He already knows Job's heart. He already knows how Job operates, who Job is. But he's still going to wait before anything is done to Job, because we already see that Hashatan is standing to tell a lie, looking to accuse him. Don't for 1 second think that he's not doing the same thing to us before the Father. And then we wonder why, when sometimes trials and tests come our way, why they coming our way.
Yeah, and just to line back on you were saying there, when I read that to me what stood out the most is that if it wasn't for the protection of Yah around us, we wouldn't have a chance against Satan. We
Straight
wouldn't.
up.
You know, he didn't only the hedge he put around Job, but he has a hedge around us also, because if he didn't, you see what Hasatan would do to us.
Man, there's nothing he wouldn't do to us.
Exactly. So I have to give thanks to my Father that you got this hedge around me to keep this vermin off of me, you know, from doing destruction to me. You know, so I'm so thankful for that. You know, when I read that, I was like, man, I'm glad you got a hedge around me, because if you didn't, I know I can see what could come from Hasatan, because he had no love, nothing but hatred, wanted to kill and destroy us at any cost that he possibly can. So I had to give thanks to the Father when I read that, to say, thank you for keeping the hedge around me, around us.
Hallelujah. All praises. So, Hashatan, or a Shaitan, a Satan. H7854 from 7853, an opponent, especially with the article prefix meaning the opponent. Satan, the arch enemy of good, the adversary, Satan, to withstand. H7853, Satan, a primitive root, to attack, figuratively to accuse, to be an adversary, to resist. So this is what his name means. He stands as an accuser. Are we using our mouth in the same way? Standing as an accuser against the Mishpakai, against the brethren? Or are we actually dealing with matters righteously the way that we ought to deal with it? And if in the event that I am seeing something that's going on with my brother or sister, okay, let me try to figure out with the Father, okay, why are you showing me this? And then what am I supposed to do to help my brother or sister in this situation? Right? All praises. Revelation, go ahead.
Yeah, and recently got in contact with brothers that was in the walk earlier, and they still got the Hebrew name, but then start talking about some sort of business, crypto, and trying to get me to give my information over. I'm like, wait, I haven't even spoken to you, and the first thing, instead of talking about the word, you're trying to get me to invest in some little scheme, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I don't know. I'll think about it. Just send me the link. I'll look into it. So you got to be careful that just because they were in the truth one moment, now they're going into deceitful manners.
Absolutely. All praises. Revelation 12:7. And there came to be fighting in the Shamayim, or the heavens. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought, but they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in the heaven any longer. And the great dragon was thrown out, the serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who leads all the world astray. And he was thrown to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in the heaven, now have come the deliverance and the power and the kingdom or reign of our Elohim and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers, so what is he known as? The accuser of our brethren, who accused them before Elohim day and night. What is he doing? All day, all night. Has been thrown down. So again, I ask the question, if you find yourself operating in this spirit, is this of the set apart spirit? Or is this perhaps of something else? Right? So you got to, again, start to look at yourself. And now it's time for you to determine, well, which way am I going to walk in? Am I going to walk in the ways of the Father, or am I going to walk this way? Right? John 8:44, you are of the father, the devil, and the desires of your father you wish to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and has not stood in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks the lie, he speaks of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Right? Please don't let our mouth get us in trouble. And then the things that we saying about one another not even be founded in truth. Don't let that be the case, because if that is the case, then again, you got to ask yourself the question, what side am I putting points up for? The right side or the wrong side? And am I going to be familiar to Yahuwah or more familiar to the adversary? So notice is the opposite of how we are supposed to act according to righteousness. So have you ever found yourself in this situation where you found yourself slandering Mishpachah? And if this was the case, what did you do to resolve the matter? Did your conscience alert you that you did something wrong? Again, you ain't got to answer that question. It's for you to ponder in your heart. Because if the answer is yes, and you haven't done anything to fix it, then maybe now's the time to do so, right? Proverbs 10:18, he who hides hatred has lying lips, and he who sends out a slander is a fool. When words are many, transgression is not absent, but he who restrains his lips is wise. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver. The heart of the wrong is of little value. So, y'all see what just happened there, right? The tongue of the righteous is choice silver. Remember what Mashiach said. Out of the abundance of the what? The mouth speaks, right? This is a person that's stored up some treasures in their heart, the right stuff. But if you got an abundance of wrong in your heart, then what does that say? Your heart is of little value.
As you're going through your lessons, there's one word that keeps standing out to me, and I was sharing that with my brother earlier today, and that's righteousness. And we do know in the book that it states that there are some people that are righteous. Mm-hmm. Now, I would like to know, if it's possible, the Hebrew definition of righteous individual. You're not perfect, right? But you are working toward to that perfection. So just like when I passed away, I would like people to know that was a righteous brother that passed away. Mm-hmm. You know, so I keep hearing this word righteous, righteous, righteous. And I think I need to have a definition or a Hebrew definition of what it means by a person that is righteous.
All praises. So in Hebrew, the word there is zadik. The root of the word is zadak. So you're looking at someone who is morally straight, someone who is upright, someone who is, we would say, is walking according to this truth, walking according to this righteousness, right? According to this word. He tells us what righteousness is in Deuteronomy 6, right? What our righteousness is. Hearing and doing his word, right? So that would be considered an individual who is righteous, right? Now, that's not to say that in that state of righteousness that you're not going to have, that there won't be mistakes along the way, right? But this is not an individual who is striving for that or making concession for that. This is an individual who is striving for life, and just so happens every so often along the way they might misstep, and then there's a course of action for correcting that as well for the righteous. But yeah, there is to that point, what I will say is there is a difference between someone who is righteous and someone who is a quote unquote sinner or a practicing sinner. There is a big difference. Absolutely. Mhm. Yeah, I saw Ike looking something up. I ain't want to disturb, but
It, you said Sadiq?
Yes, sir.
For sure. It's a Strong's definition, age 6662, from just, lawful, righteous.
Mm-hmm. All praises. All praises. Yeah, no, excellent point. Excellent point. Like, we definitely do need to understand what righteousness is. And it wouldn't be a bad idea for us at some point to just do a whole lesson over what is righteousness, what does it mean for us to be righteous, and what's the difference between someone who is quote unquote righteous and quote unquote a sinner, because that's another one of those things that is misunderstood a lot today. Go ahead, Art.
Since we're on righteous right now, Proverbs 24, verse 16, for a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity. It's showing you that a lot of times when we say righteous, we're saying like you can't sin and you can't fall again. But a righteous man, he just knows how to, like David, know how to get back up by repenting, knowing how to turn your heart back to Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All praises. All praises. So, verse, go ahead.
Yeah, because looking at David, and I think y'all talked about it a little bit with Saul, and you see he made the mistakes that he had made, but he repented. His heart was right, and so he's in this situation with Saul, and he has a chance to kill Saul, and he spared him. Going back to what I was saying, there's gonna come a point to where you need that mercy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just thought that was beautiful because you see the Most High sparing him, although that child that was born out of adultery had to die, so he paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but again, in that situation with Saul, he spared Saul, so that just goes to show you where David's heart was,
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of man he was.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be clear, especially for those on the online, right? Like that might not be present and might not get a chance to know the hearts of all of us in here. We're not trying to make it a concession for sin, right? We're not trying to make an excuse. Do what you want so that grace may abound. That's not what we're saying. Nobody in here is saying that at all. So I just want to check that, because a lot of times the rebuttal is so strong just because of that's the assumption. And it's like, no, we're not speaking from that context at all. Go ahead.
That kind of goes into my point. I just wanted to look up the root word of what Steve had looked at. The root word of righteous, cleanse, clear self, to be righteous or just. And so when you think about cleanse or clear, that's where the righteousness comes in. Give an example of David or David. Like when he was told, finally got it, oh man, hold on, I'm sorry, that's on me. He immediately repented. So what makes you righteous is when you can acknowledge what you have been doing wrong, once you know you have realized, okay, no, this is sin. All right, Father, forgive me. I repent. I'm sorry. You know, then you go on with that process of cleansing. But that's what makes you righteous. But if you hear it and then don't turn away, then you become wicked. So I think there's a good this situation.
Can somebody bring up? I think it's Deuteronomy 6:23. Deborah 6:23. Yeah, it's cool. Take your time. Go ahead, sis. Okay, whoever. Yeah, no, go ahead, sis. Yeah, we ain't in a, yeah.
All I was gonna say is, like what she was saying is that's the whole lesson, like oneness of self, checking yourself, holding yourself accountable.
All praises.
H662. This is the Strong's version. Everybody. Zadik. Just, lawful, righteous.
Mm-hmm.
And then the root word again would just be the same word, zadek. It just means right, cleanse, clear, self, justice, justify, to be or to turn to righteousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Lawful. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
He said, Dabarim 6:25.
I want to say 23.
23
Start
to 25?
there and maybe yes, sir.
All right, Deuteronomy 6:23. And he brought us out from thence, that he might bring us in and give us the land which we swear unto our fathers. And the Almighty commanded us to do all these statutes to fear the Almighty Yah, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, and is it to this day, at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Almighty Yah, as he hath commanded us.
All praises. From there, if you don't mind, I think Isaiah 51:7. Isaiah 51:7.
Isaiah 51:7. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revilings.
All praises. We get Psalm 119, 142. All praises.
Psalm 119. Let thy mercies come also unto me, Almighty Yah, even thy salvation according to thy word. So shall I have wherewithin to answer him with reproach me, for I trust in thy word. And take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments. So shall I keep the law continually forever and ever, and I will walk at liberty, for I seek the precepts. I speak of thy testimonies also before kings, and will not be ashamed. Keep going.
We told me, all praises.
All praise.
Like, you're not going to be able to separate righteousness from his Torah. You definitely not going to be able to do that. All praises.
I have a question. Earlier, I was learning about the word holy, but it was he was teaching it in Hebrew. He was saying basically we're supposed to walk holy like the Most High, or we are. Most High is holy. Would righteous and holy, what is the definition? Like I said, I scantly remember it, but would it be the same?
So holy is the word kadosh, or kodesh, which is, it's related. Like righteousness is set apart, but they're not the same word in Hebrew, if that's what you're asking.
No, not the same. I'm asking would it kind of be along the same.
Absolutely. Like he is righteous, and this is the reason why we set ourselves apart, and why we are set apart as he's set apart, because the quote unquote righteous way is the set apart way. So yeah, all praises. Mm-hmm.
So Kadosh, Hebrews 69:44, Strong's definition, a sacred place or sacred thing, rarely abstract, sanctity, consecrated, dedicated, a hallowed thing.
All praises. Like in his root is something that is been set apart for a specific purpose. All praises. So Proverbs 10:21. The lips of the righteous shepherd many, but fools die for lack of heart. So H1681, Deba, from 1680, in the sense of furtive motion to slander, defame, and spread an evil report. Right? Like this is slandering. And mind you, what happened when the spies went out to the land? They brought back a what? Okay. So we see, like, quite literally, this sort of thing, your mouth can't keep you out of the kingdom.
Yeah, because it said because of that, that was the whole purpose of the reason. What they gave him, the Most High gave him a year for each one that came back with these false reports. And so they spent the 40 years in the wilderness wandering because of that.
All praises.
And you look at that land as their peace at that particular time, but it was still pointing to eternal life.
Absolutely. It's a mirror of the kingdom, of a shadow of a greater thing to come. So 1 Kings 21. Y'all familiar with the story of Jezebel? Oh, my bad. Go ahead, Akoti.
I'm glad that we just read Isaiah 51 and 7, because as I'm listening to what a slanderer is, I've already known, but I'm on the other end. I don't chop people off at the knees with my words, but I be getting chopped up by people who supposed to love me, my family, and I struggle with how to deal with it, because I know what the word says about people who do that, and I don't want my family to burn. And man, I dealt with some slander so bad about 9 years ago. Till this day, we are still divided, like real bad. And I don't really know what to do. And I'm innocent of the accusation. If I was guilty, I would say that, because I have no problem confessing. But it says, fear not the reproach. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid of their revilings. I'm not afraid. I'm not fearful. I just feel kind of stuck. Mm-hmm. Like I want to fix it. I want to reconcile. I just don't really see how that's possible when we're so at odds. And the big one happened 9 years ago. But here recently, the same slanderer told my daughter that we would struggle, that we would have hard times because of my faith, because I've come into the truth. That next day their water got cut off? I said, see, the word is coming alive, because you're going to eat by the fruit of your mouth. Mm-hmm. My water ain't never been cut off. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate that it happened to that person, but what I did like was that my children was able to see the truth of the word. Mm-hmm. Like the Most High says, if you do this, this will happen. You see, this person did this and said that, and look what they dealing with. Mm-hmm. Whereas we straight.
All praises. Like, what I'll say is that in situations like that, a lot of times your works will speak for themselves. You know what I mean? Like, and sometimes you have to, just like you said, allow the Father to stand up and take vengeance. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say that if a person is willing to go to the extent of making up something false about you, slandering about you, and doing all of this, that they would even listen to a correction. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of times that's the farthest thing from their mind. And if it wasn't, they wouldn't have went about doing it how they did it. You know what I mean? But especially if we're not talking about somebody that's within the walk. You know what I mean? Like, that's a whole nother thing. It's a wisdom thing. Like, sometimes it'll cause for a conversation with that individual, and it can just be corrected. And then sometimes, you know, like I said, it could be a misunderstanding, but then sometimes it's just somebody that has a malicious intent in their heart, and the father has to deal with that at that point. You know what I mean? So it's just utilizing wisdom, and it's going to depend on that situation.
And just to land back on what you were saying, and for you, young lady, you know, when Isaiah, when the Messiah gave him the book and told him to eat it, right? When he first started eating it, it was like honey in his mouth. But then when it got to his stomach, it started turning bitter, because he had looked around and seen all his loved ones that were not committed to the truth, right? And just to kind of reassure you, it comes with the territory. When you get into this walk, you're going to have those that you love, right, who's going to turn against you. Just like he said that in the end days, they're going to be some of your own friends that are going to turn you in, you know, because of their misunderstanding or them not being submitted to the truth of the Messiah. So it's going to come with the territory. My own mother turned against me. Yeah, so you ain't by yourself, right? She turned against me because she's an avid Christian. But when I went to go share with her the truth, I could tell nothing I could tell her was going to change her mind. And she took a mistreatment toward me. I'm her first son because I choose to follow the Messiah. So it's going to come with the territory. This is why he said for us to endure to the end, because it ain't going to be no easy walk. It's not. But you got to stay firm and convicted on what you believe and what he has shown you. You know, so we're going to have these ups and downs. We're going to run into these stumbling blocks, you know. And this is the adversary who's trying to throw things, the stepping stones in front of you to get you derailed from the path that you're on, because it's a narrow path, you know, and it ain't going to be an easy walk, you know, but you have to endure to the end, just like he said. You know, you're going to have people going to come up against you. I get it all the time. But even with that, I'm seeing my family, my other family members starting to turn from the things that are not of him. You know, just like some of the holidays. My brothers and my sisters, they don't celebrate them like they used to anymore. You know, so it's a slow process that you have to establish in your walk to show them, right? And as long as you stay in this walk, you're gonna be okay.
All praises.
This is for Sis Ebony. Matthew chapter 5, start at verse 10. It says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you."
No, all praises to what you're going through, sis. You know, we all kind of went through that. Like, I praise all the Most High. You know, my mother's starting to make that turn. She used to be, oh, why are you keeping them from the presents on Christmas and this and that? And it's like, look, I made my mind up 2013, around there. We're not doing that tree no more. It's a wrap. No more. And quit calling me. And the way you told me to read that Bible, and now I'm reading it, and I'm, you know, she came across, she left Christianity, and I'm still working on her. She's like, why are you naming your kids all these names we can't pronounce? I was like, I can't even, like, what are the kids at school going to say? Well, guess what, Mama? This is how they're going to combat, this is going to come back. Is this going to give them a way to open the door to talk about their name and what it means and where it comes from. And it's going to be able to plant a seed just with a conversation about their name, what it means, and how they're dedicated to the Most High, and how we're not going to do the materialistic thing whenever Walmart changes the seasons. And I have to have this conversation with my mom. And we do collide. But she's starting to see. Back in the day when I was still early in the truth, I was like, hung up the phone. I turn the other cheek. All right, I'll talk to you later. Like, but now I'm able to have patience and just turn the other cheek and just like, hey, this is the reason we're doing this.
I think we all have like a similar story of our families and things like that. Because I noticed when I first stopped eating pork, my family was like, it's not going to hurt you. You just pray over it. And I actually had a family member who made something with pork and was like, just take the bacon out. I'm like, that's not how that works. And so now what I've been doing is I sent some of my family members videos of how they do the pork and how they eat everything. And they're like, and I sent them one with the little parasites and all that. And now they don't eat pork. And they're like, oh, no, that's nasty. I was like, I tried to tell you. The Bible tried to tell you. And another thing I also have to tell families and friends that come to me with stuff like, this person said this and this person said that, I need your help. I'm like, look, if they talked about the Messiah who was perfect, who are we?
Just to land back on what my brother was saying, my birthday is December 25th. I was the firstborn of of my mother and father, right? So when I told them, my mother, that, hey, I no longer do this, that was an uproar in the family. Everybody was like, you ain't doing what? You ain't doing what? Because it was a festive time during that time period, you know, because it was my birthday. And I'm the oldest of the family. So so when I told them that this is nothing that I would do anymore, man, you just don't know. I mean, my mother was she was just ecstatic about it. You know what I mean? But now over time, the rest of my brothers and sisters, they ain't no trees going up no more. You know, they ain't doing no Christmas holiday stuff like that anymore. So it's a gradual thing that you have to work through, and your walk is going to demonstrate your faith, right? So stay strong to it.
Christ made a statement that you think I come to bring peace, I come to bring the sword of vision, and be your own foes, and be your own household. And then Paul made a statement that because I tell you the truth, I'll become your enemy. We're going to get persecuted, and our own family members are going to be the hardest to witness to.
What I wanted to back off of was her with the pork. I just found out, you know, everybody that does those seafood boils, because, you know, the crabs are roaches and, you know, spiders of the sea, that they're the salt in the that's in the seafood is giving people high blood pressure and stuff too. So the shrimp is killing people, right? So I've noticed a lot of my family members. I didn't eat pork until I got grown. My mother always ate beef, but she never dabbled in pork. I didn't start eating pork until I got with my first husband, and then that's where all the other stuff came in. The other foods came in. But I've noticed lately, you know, with my kids, they're starting to buy beef. I don't, you know, because they already know mom's not eating nothing that, you know, if you cook it near pork, I'm not eating it. You know, don't offer it to me. So they know off rip, you know, they turkey ribs, you know, they'll do, you know, sometimes they'll do ribs, but they're kind of coming around, you know, with the food. My youngest is still wanting that seafood boy. I'm glad I've never ate that crap, but.
And that goes back to what we were saying is we have to be the example, because even though our family may have, you know, went against us initially, they're starting to come around now seeing us as an example, because I've noticed that people follow someone that they see is walking the talk. So if you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're actually showing them that you're doing what you're supposed to do and standing on what you say you do, they may follow you and change their ways as well.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Let me read this one more time. Not all three, but blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I think all of us can agree in here we done went through some stuff on this path and on this walk, right? As a collective group, can we get the Most High a hand? He that endureth to the end shall be saved. This is what we do. We stand strong. When one of us is hurting and going through it, we pick each other up. Link arms, we walk as a chain, one strong link. That's what it's about, y'all. One family.
All praises.
Oh, and to one thing that you can do, you can intercede on your people's behalf. Abraham did it for Lot. So you keep praying for your family, intercede for them, and hopefully, Yah will open up their heart and their minds to His truth. So that's one thing that you can kind of put on your heart, even though they're coming at you, in the wrong way, but you can always still intercede on their behalf, that Yah will open up their hearts and open up their minds, and that they will come to His truth. So that's one consolation that you can have.
All praises. All praises. All praises. I can also say, like, people have a tendency to, and I can't say that this is exactly what the situation is for you, especially you said it's been going on, accusation from 9 years ago, right? Like, I don't know that, but I can say, generally speaking, if it's just a matter of when you come into the walk and there's somebody pushing off against that, like, give it some time and they might come around. It might not necessarily be the walk for them, but they can at least come to understand it and respect it. You know what I mean? Like, that don't mean you're gonna be rubbing elbows at the same table all the time, but at least they'll understand your boundaries and respect them. You know what I mean? So slanders, gossips, tale-bearing, and lies. 1 Kings 21:1. So y'all read the story of Jezebel and how she had a man killed, right, based off of spreading some lies, right? 1 Kings 21:1. It says, and it came to be after these events that Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard which was in Israel near the palace of Ahab the sovereign of Samaria or Shomron. And Ahab spoke to Naboth, saying, give me your vineyard, and it shall be a vegetable garden for me, since it adjoins my house. And let me give you a better vineyard, for if it is good in your eyes, let me give you its worth in silver. And Naboth said to Ahab, far be it from me, by Yahuwah, that I shall give the inheritance of my fathers to you. So now, what was the issue here? Torah, right? What are we supposed to do about the not removing the? Go ahead.
He's coveting his neighbor's stuff. He's wanted that vineyard.
All praises. So he's coveting, and this is an issue because remember the father said, "Don't remove the old boundaries, the old landmarks. What I've given as an inheritance to this line belongs to this line." Right? It's not for us to then, well, let me do this and do that so that I can have your inheritance and your portion, because that's not just your portion, but that's also the portion in the inheritance for your seed and their generations to come. Right? So he said, far be it from me, by Yahuwah, that I should give the inheritance of my fathers to you. And Ahab went into his house embittered and displeased because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoke to him when he said, I do not give you the inheritance of my fathers. And he lay down on his bed and turned away his face and did not eat food. And Jezebel, his wife, came to him and said to him, why is your spirit so embittered that you are not eating food? And he said to her, because I spoke to Naboth the Jezreelite and said to him, give me your vineyard for silver, or if you prefer, I give you another vineyard for it. But he answered, I do not give you my vineyard. So Jezebel, his wife, said to him, do you now rule over Israel? Rise up, eat food, and let your heart be glad. Let me give you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. Then she wrote letters in Ahab's name and sealed them with his seal and sent the letters to the elders and the nobles who were dwelling in the city with Naboth. And she wrote in the letter saying, proclaim a fast and seat Naboth at the head of the people, and seat 2 men, because remember we was talking about those 2 or 3 witnesses, sons of Belial, before him, to bear witness against him, saying, you have blasphemed Elohim and the king. Then you shall take him out and stone him to death. And the men of his city, the elders and nobles who were the inhabitants of the city, did as Jezebel had sent to them, as it was written in the letters which she had sent them. They proclaimed a fast and seated Naboth at the head of the people. And the men, sons of Belial, came in and sat before him. And the men of Belial witnessed against him, against Naboth, in the presence of the people, saying, Naboth has blasphemed Elohim and the king and the sovereign. So they took him outside of the city and stoned him with stones, and he died. And they sent to Jezebel, saying, Naboth has been stoned and is dead. So you see how a slander, how a false witness, an accusation, when we, as those that walk in his walk, when we don't walk according to what Torah says, how we can get swept up and now we got innocent blood on our hands. Right? Serious thing. Father's not playing with it. So again, if you find yourself in this sort of situation, now spreading tales, whatever, giving our ear to tales that is really just something from the rumor mill. And y'all know, y'all been on social media and all of the sites and things. That's the new entertainment. Is what somebody's the tea. They call it spilling the tea. That's the new form of entertainment, but that's not righteousness, right? So, okay, yeah, we don't have much more left to go. So, 1 Timothy 6:3. If anyone teaches differently and does not agree to the sound words, those of our master Yahushua HaMashiach, and to the teaching which is according to reverence, he is puffed up, understanding none at all, but is sick about questionings and verbal battles, from which come envy, strife, slander, wicked suspicions, worthless disputes of men of corrupt minds, and deprived of the truth, who think that reverence is a means of gain. Withdraw from such. So, sometimes you can put yourself in a situation to where the only thing that's going to come out of it is envy, strifes, slanders, wicked suspicions, worthless disputes. Right? Some things are not even worth, quote unquote, these verbal battles. Some things ain't even worth getting into. Cut the head off of the snake before you even get into it. Don't even lend your ear to it. Because some things, the only thing that can be produced from it is not like Akoti said earlier, fruit of the Ruach. Only thing that's going to come out of it is these things. Right? So again, just some self-check stuff. If you find yourself constantly in these sorts of situations or environments, maybe it's a time to say, okay, let me look at myself, right? Is this even a situation that the Father put me in, or did I just put myself in this situation? And now all of this is going on around me and I got to deal with this. And now I'm going against my conscience because, again, we talked about it. You have a tendency of, if you walk with something long enough, it'll rub off on you, right? Now you having wars with yourself that you don't even have to battle because you're putting yourself in environments and in situations that you shouldn't even be in, right? Go ahead, Hawk.
Yeah, speaking of slander, you look at American history, like Black Wall Street and all that. It took one person to cause slander or a lie and got a lot of our people killed, you know.
What we saw with Jezebel is not that didn't stop then. That's an ongoing thing of human beings. You know what I mean? But that's the reason why certain things shouldn't even be spoken of within the household of belief. Like, we, as a body, ought to be moving. We got the Torah to show us how to move. We ought to be moving in a way to where we don't even have to be subjected to those things. Oh, yeah, excellent point.
So you asked earlier as far as the senses and how we can use. So we're on the topic as far as using your mouth, but now once that happens, now people's ears are open, and so now you're allowing things to come through your ears. So that's two different things right there of how you can use these senses, two different senses to go way off. But this goes into the eyes too. But I'm gonna stop right there.
All praises. And remember, a couple months ago, I did a whole lesson on seeing. No, hold on. I'm about to butcher it. I always say it backwards. Hearing with your eyes. There we go.
And it's amazing, you know, like the whole thing in First Kings. Those are the northern kingdom. Those are Israelites, and that's including a neighbor, a king to a neighbor. And even though he's already got kingship, it's not enough. This is within Israel, so we're gonna within our families.
All praises. All praises. So the word for slander there. Go ahead.
And I'm glad you're using this as an example because, just like you said, slander and misinterpretation, because there's a lot of people that believe that she was a harlot, you know, and she might be a harlot spiritually, but she wasn't physically. You know what I mean? So there's a distinction here that I'm glad you're making a point of it, because a lot of people misinterpret this very situation.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stop. All praises, all praises. They call somebody like Jezebel something else these days. You know, she down. But like sometimes we'll speak on that as it's a good thing, but it's really not a good thing. You know, we just talking about a woman that would she was willing to do any and everything for her man. But that's a whole nother conversation in its own. But
Something else I noticed is that the Father will let things play out, situations play out. How Naboth he died. Now, if you think he was a righteous man, why did he die? He'll let it play out. And so sometimes you get people to say, well, Father will correct me. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm still here. I'm still doing my thing. The Father will let it play out. And of course, he will judge whenever, he decides to. But I'm just saying we can't always go off of, I'm good. I haven't been touched. I must be good. You can't go off that way, because Abba Yahuwah will let things play out, and he will determine when he will act.
Y'all saw the CEO, the CEO at the concert. Like, hey, from the Father ain't playing from rich to poor. He don't care. All praises. So G988, this is our word for slander there, blasphemia, which we probably didn't think that word was there. But blasphemia, from G989, vilification, especially against Elohim, blasphemy, evil speaking, and railing. So all praises. Leviticus 19:16. Again, this is Torah. Do not go slandering among your people. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. Word for slander in H7400. Rakil, a scandal monger, as traveling about. Right, this is the rumor has grown legs by your mouth. Right? A slander, to carry tales, a talebearer. Leviticus 19:1, right? 1 and 2, to give 19 and 16 some context. Who said this? And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, be set apart, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am set apart. So this is what the Father said in order to teach us how to be what? Set apart, holy. Don't go slandering. This is how we become what? Set apart, holy. All praises. Proverbs 11:13, a slanderer is a revealer of secrets, but one with a trustworthy spirit conceals a matter. Proverbs 20:19, he who goes about as a slanderer reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate with him who speaks smoothly with his lips. A scandal mongerer, somebody who's carrying tales about, right? This isn't something that we want to associate ourselves with or be, right? We don't want that to be something that would describe us, right? So notice the trend here with regard to a rakil, is that this is somebody who goes about spreading other people's business, right? So do you find yourself being nosy, seeking to know and spread other people's business? If so, consider how the scriptures view such behaviors, right? Leviticus 19 shows us how Yahuwah himself feels about tale-bearing and how he feels about slandering. So now the Torah says that this is something that we are not to do, and our keeping away from such behavior is how we set ourselves apart and become set apart as Yahuwah himself is set apart. So now the question is Elohim, is the Father himself a talebearer or a slanderer? Clearly no, right? But who is? Hashatan. So again, we might be marking ourselves with our behavior and not even realizing that that's what we're doing if we're operating in a certain mode of action, right? Proverbs 26:20, for a lack of wood, the fire goes out, and without a slanderer, strife ceases. It was all cool until somebody came in here saying XYZ, boom, 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 and then now you look and it's like, what happened? As charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a slanderer are as dainty morsels, which go into the inner parts of the heart. I'm going to repeat that verse. The words of a slanderer are as dainty morsels. It's that good food. It's the king's meat. Michelin star chef put that together. The best of the best. And it goes down into the inner parts of the what? So now just keep this in mind, because what you give your ear to can affect you. Just like Ak was saying. And it tastes so good, it feels so good. This is why they make so much money off of the quote unquote tea. That's why it's so that's why it's everywhere. It's because somebody's making money off of it. We know that this is going to get your attention. Hey, I catch myself sometimes scrolling on YouTube, and then I see something. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. They said what? Just to find out it was an AI. It's an AI voice talking and doing all made the rumor, that made the whole everything. It's AI bots in the chat. Everything is AI. It's a hustle. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah. Man, look, I'll be at home getting messy, man. Like, I'm sitting here watching fights on, scrolling through. I'm trying to find TV shows where they arguing and all kind of stuff. And the next thing you know, I'm looking up other people gossiping and all. Yeah, that stuff, war. Yeah, it can get bad. You know what I'm saying? But you let that type of stuff in, and then you see yourself slipping down that road, and it's like, because I be hearing it at work, you know, and I'm like, let me get away from here. You know what I'm saying? I get messy quick and being involved in this mess. Now they looking at me like, nah, man, let me get away from this mess. Yeah, it go on a lot at work, too. So.
Absolutely. And then, like, mind you, it can start affecting how you, like you said, how you think. Now, next thing you know, you using that logic in your situations. Well, no, see, what probably really had happened was, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a thing. Go ahead.
Man, I'm glad you hit that, because you know the enemy's working really hard right now with the AI on the social media. I was like, wow, when I saw one of those doctrines, the 12 chart, who now they're using AI, literally went into, I'm from Mexico, I'm Issachar, I'm Ephraim, I'm Levi, I'm from Haiti, and it got the background. It got Haiti in the background. It's like, wait a minute, wait. block block it. And then, or you go to the comments. There's other people that are waking up like, no, this is true, purely doctrine. There's no truth in this.
Speaking of like tea or whatever, there was this new thing on Facebook, like a tea app or something like that. And I just know, and I've been seeing a lot of people talk about it, but my spirit was like, do not download the app. And then like yesterday, they came out with everybody's address and IDs and everything they used to get on the app have been leaked. So I was like, yeah, something told me not to get in that.
All praises. So, verse 23, it says, burning lips with an evil heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. And the dross is not the good part of the silver. Right? It's what you don't want. Right? He who hates pretends with his lips and lays up deceit within him. Though he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. I wonder what those 7 abominations might be. I wonder if Proverbs 6... Oh, okay. Hatred is covered by deceit. His evil is disclosed in the assembly. Whoever digs a pit falls into it. So, that very thing, that same trap you might be trying to set for somebody else, it might, just like he said in Deuteronomy 19, right? Like, the same thing what they had wished to do to that person, let it be done to them. Whoever digs a pit falls into it, and whoever rolls a stone turns back on him. A lying tongue hates its bruised ones, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Proverbs 18:6, a fool's lips enter into strife, and his mouth calls for blows. A knuckle sandwich, they say. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his life. The words of a slanderer are like delicacies, and they go down into the inner parts of the heart. So a slanderer in this case, H5372, a nirgan, from an unused root meaning to roll to pieces. A slanderer, talebearer, a whisperer, right? Proverbs 6:16. These 6 matters Yahuwah hates, and 7 are an abomination to him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands shedding innocent blood, a heart devising wicked schemes, feet quick to run to evil, a false witness breathing out lies, and one who causes strife among brothers. Father does not look at this as anything even remotely acceptable. An abomination, H8441. Toabah, feminine active participle of H8581, properly something disgusting. Morally, that is, as a noun, an abhorrence, especially idolatry or concretely an idol, abominable. An abominable custom thing. It's an abomination. 8581, ta'ab, to loathe. That is, morally to detest, to make to be, to abhor, to be abhorred. This is an abomination. If we operate in any of these things, what does that make us to the Father? An abomination. And if we're an abomination, then that means that we fall into that category of what? We're far from him. He's not going to allow an abomination, something that he detests, something that he hates in his presence. Set apart from him. Not set apart in him, set apart from him. Completely unrighteous. Right? Something just as simple as your mouth. And putting your mouth on other people's business, especially if you ain't trying to make a way for a solution, you just in the way. right? And we got to know that there's a judgment for that. So this is the reason why it's important that while it is today, hey, and we done received mercy up to this point to get to today, take advantage of it, right? If this is you. Not saying that this is everybody, not saying that this is anybody. Just saying, if the shoe fits, hey, wear it, and that's for you to know. The remedy, right? So what's the solution here? Ephesians 4:17, some wisdom in this. He says, so this I say, and witness in the master, that you should no longer walk as the nations walk in the futility of their mind, having been darkened in their understanding and having been estranged from the life of Elohim because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their heart, who, having become callous, have given themselves up to indecency to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Mashiach. If indeed you have heard him and were taught by him, as truth is in Yahusha. Now, really, I want y'all to think about this. Was Mashiach a slanderer or gossiper? He knew who was going to betray him and watched him right there at the table and didn't tell none of his disciples. And the man was going to betray him. He saw when the brothers is jockeying for a seat next to him, and he deaded it. He's not a slanderer. We haven't learned such from him. Let us walk as he walked. If indeed you have heard him and we were taught by him as truth is in Yahusha, that you put off with regard to your former behavior, the old man being corrupted according to the desires of deceit, and to be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the renewed man, which was created according to Elohim in righteousness and set apartness of the truth. Therefore, having put off the false, speak truth, each one with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. That's the remedy. If I look at my brother as I see myself, then in the event that my brother does get ensnared or trapped in a transgression or a sin or some level of iniquity, it's my job as the righteous one, hold my brother up as best as I can if he'll allow it. Not to go about looking to slander him before others. What does that say about me and my heart? Let me team up over here, whisper over here with these behind closed doors and say, hey, now next thing you know, you got a whole situation like Korah's rebellion taking place because we gossiping and talebearing, right? All praises. Head coach is Satan. Told you exactly what play to run. All praises. But what if my brother made me mad? My sister made me mad. They mistreated me. They XYZ, right? And I was just so mad. That's why I said what I said, right? What does he say? Be wroth, but do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your rage, nor give place to who? The devil. When we move like this, who are we giving space to? Hashatan. Let him who stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands what is good, so that he has somewhat to share with those in need. Let no corrupt word come out of your mouth, but only such as is good for the use of building up, so as to impart what is pleasant to the hearers. And do not grieve the set-apart spirit of Elohim, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and displeasure and uproar and slander be put away from you, along with all evil. And be kind towards one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as Elohim also forgave you in Mashiach. So with that being said, we at the end, Hebrews 4:11. Let us therefore do our utmost to enter into that rest, lest anyone fall after the same example of disobedience. Slandering and talebearing was one of them examples of disobedience. We just said it, Korah's rebellion. earth opened up and swallowed whole households. All off of their mouth. Miriam had to get kicked out of the camp, and this was a quote-unquote righteous woman. All because of her mouth and gossiping. Her mouth got her in trouble. Absolutely. Exactly. All praises. Absolutely. All praises. For the word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being and spirit and of joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and the intentions of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid bare before, the eyes of him with whom is our account. Right? So next week we just gonna continue. Like I said, we just going down the list at this point and get in where you fit in, you know what I mean? Like, now I will say, it's my hope and my desire, that none of us find ourselves anywhere on these lists. But the reality of it is, hey, you might, one or two of them might apply to you. You know what I mean? And just, if the shoe fits, wear it. You know where you need to work. You know the chink in your armor. Now get with the Father and figure out what it is you need to be doing to correct it.
And just to land back on that, the Messiah actually provided a place for those who that had to go through those situations where you could go and be able to talk with someone or get a clear version of it. And I don't know if anybody would know, because I seen the name that you had up on your screen earlier, the House of Refuge. He placed refuge places between each family member. The 12 tribes, he placed a place of refuge between each one of those places. So when you came to a difficult situation and you needed someone to go and to establish some truth in it, you had a place that you could go to. And that was the place he called refuge. So I didn't know if people knew the history of the House of Refuge that was actually in the scripture. It's actually a place that he established for you to go, and when you had these type of problems where they can be discussed out with a priest. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of go hand in hand with what you were saying. And I noticed, what you had up on the screen, the House of Refuge. I was like, I wonder if anybody really know the history of the place, the House of Refuge, that he established between each and one of the families for situations just for this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's why we are what we are, actually.
Because talking about the House of Refuge, again, it's still a parallel to the land and to the kingdom. That House of Refuge. You said it earlier, right? Today is today. And every single day we wake up, we seeing the mercies of the Most High. That ruach, that breath that's in us. Take these lessons, we learn from this thing. We know our issues. Whatever issue that we have, seriously, look at it. Don't deviate. You know what it is. Starting right now, when we walk out this door, let's work on this thing. Whatever it is. You wake up in the morning, you know what the issue is, let's work on it. You feel it coming on. I know when I do wrong, I feel it coming on. Mm-hmm. Work on this thing right now. Shut it down. Do whatever we got to do to correct this thing. You know what I'm saying? Let's not use these lessons as, Alon taught a good lesson. I'm going to take some of the stuff he said and I'm going to say it to somebody else. It don't even matter if you know what I'm saying? It don't even matter if you ain't even applying it. Let's apply this thing, y'all. Let's apply this thing.
Ideally, every time we go through these scriptures, we should be, okay, no. I love to see when I see Mishmakai in here taking notes, jotting stuff down. Okay, no, this one right here applies to me. I'm going to go home and I'm going to meditate on this thing for me. You know what I mean? That's the goal of Yeah, otherwise, like you said, the word don't have, it's of none effect. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I'm grateful for this house of refuge. This is my house of refuge. This is where I seek advice and help and support. I was having some issues yesterday, and someone said, well, I want you to clear your mind before you go to the assembly. I don't want you to go in there heavy. I said, I won't. I'm not clearing my mind. They said, well, don't go. I said, I am. I'm taking all my issues with me because I'm going to learn how to work it out. So I thank y'all for y'all. I really do.
Likewise, all praises. All praises. Well, yeah. Before you do, actually, yeah, no. Next week we'll pick up. We still gonna be on the mouth next week, Abba willing, because like I said, the mouth can do a whole lot of stuff. And tailbearing is not the only thing it can do. So we continue there. Either next week or next time y'all have me. It might be next week, might not be. Whenever y'all see me next, that's the thing. But yeah, all praises. Go ahead, Doc.
Hallelujah. Thank Yahuwah for another teaching, another way of applying, mirroring ourselves. Do I do these things? So I thank Yah for even the power of the tongue as we be opened up. If we don't have the Ruach, man, I mean, because you brought up social media, and I was like, okay, so what did Charleston White say about Gilla? And then I saw it, I said, oh, he talked about his son. And my son is living, your son got a toe tag on and this stuff. But even in that, he still had enough sense to apologize. A lot of times people, when we say things out of feelings, emotions, and this is why we have to have the relationship with the Most High, because when you want to, man, that Ruach is like, nah, hold that in. Let it go. Shut your mouth. And you will hear it. Shut your mouth. Be quiet. But if you don't adhere to the Ruach and you allow your flesh, as we talked about the situation with the angel and the devil, and next you know it, you flicking that angel off because you like, you know what? Yeah, you about to have this. This is the meekness. This is the control that we need to possess with our tongues, because a tongue can divide not only a house, but it can divide a house. It can divide a kingdom. A lie can go through a kingdom and have everybody looking at the king wrong. This world, hey, weapons of mass destruction. Now we're in war because of, yeah. So when we talk about the tongue, when we talk about the separation of it, life and death, and we deal with a world that wants death. So you have the lies, you have the slanders. You see it a lot even on, I mean, I used to like watching sports on, listening to sports on YouTube. And now it's like, man, all y'all beefing. Yep. I'm like, y'all ain't even talking about sports. Y'all talking about, and I'm like, it's just this world. But I think y'all, even there were some things that was said. Elder Wood said something today when he was talking about the narrow and the stumbling, and it had me today because I was praising the Most High, because I'm like, sometimes we often think that the stumbling blocks are over here and over here, but the stumbling blocks is on this narrow path, and it's meant to make you stumble off of it. It's not that I'm looking over here at this stumbling block and the stumbling block comes right before you and tries to trip you up. And I was just thinking of Father, like everything that goes on, especially that's been in my life. And I said, I thank you, Yahuwah, that you have not allowed me to deviate from this narrow path. Even no matter what stumbling blocks I had to hurdle, when I had to pause and look at it and examine and, oh, how do I react to this stumbling block? What do I, instead of just going and tripping. And the same thing when we hear things and we talk and conversate, like Dee said, hey, let me listen to the whole matter. Let's listen to the whole conclusion. Now I can address and I know how to respond appropriately. So it all becomes down to self-control. What control do you have? Because if you can't bridle your tongue, you're not going to be able to bridle your body. So I thank y'all. I thank Yahuwah for Ox still just pressing forward, allowing the Most High to continue to pour into him. I don't know how he do it because he's working through the week, got family, and still comes with a presentation that, professors take time out to put together, and they still stumble, and they still get lost on it. So I thank y'all for the participation. As always, as we keep each other in prayer, let's keep each household in prayer. Let us keep lining up, make sure that we are staying on this narrow path, because the stumbling blocks are going to come. So with that being said, just quick announcements. Prayerfully in August, we'll be able to go to the Ark on a Sunday as an assembly. You said I came up like if 11 adults went, it'd be like $1,000, but the children get in free. Okay. Say it again. Under 10 get in free, and I think we have a lot of under 10. And I just think it'd be a nice getaway. I know I need a vacation, and if it's me going to the Ark on a Sunday, all praises. Just something to see outside of Dayton and Trotwood and downtown Dayton. But just keep in mind, and I know if possible, even if the brothers can kind of just come together and like, hey, let's put our funds together so that it'd be light on even the families that are not here. Hey, come on. This is what we're doing. Mishpachah, I put a picture of the Mishpachah, and I said Mishpachah forever. Just because you're not here don't mean you're not still family. This is the love that, Yahuwah has an everlasting love. Let us continue to have an everlasting love for our Mishpachah. Once again, giving, House of Refuge, Cash App, Erica, you see Erica Brown's name under it. Once again, I'm thankful, grateful, and you know what? Eugene, we was talking this morning, earlier today, about worship, and you never know who we might have to pull in. Who we might have to pull in. You the one got songs and can sing, but just to bring, hallelujah, but it's just that we need to get back to a place of worship. The Father inhabits the praises of Yasharel. Singing, it's through the Psalms, sing praises. We have the instruments and the talents that the Father has placed in the House of Refuge. And I do want to get back to, just coming together, clapping, singing, something we can do together in praise and honor to the Father. With that being said, I thank y'all for peace. I pray that you all have peace this week. Yahuwah is good. I was basically preaching to Eugene's grandkids today because I came from the car and I was feeling so good. I just had to start talking to them about peace and how good Yahuwah is. And they stopped, they helped their donuts, and they looked at me and it was like, are you finished yet? But I just could not, someone had to know. And they was the first that saw me. And I said, Yahuwah is so good that gives you peace. That part. Even in the middle of a storm, you can still have peace. And the good thing is that you can see the promise was that will never destroy was with the rainbow. It's nothing like being able to see the rainbow after the end of a storm, knowing that, hey, I made it and I wasn't destroyed in it. And the longer you go through the storm, the more you start to see the storm starting to calm down. And I thank Yah for the peace that he's given me. Like I say, keep me in prayer, keep my family in prayer. And to my special guests, I'll look this way 'cause I know they're very shy, but to Brittany and to Emmanuel for coming, stopping back through, I miss them. Glad to have them back. They was in a spot today, and I said, hold this mic. So with that being said, look, Ak is a beautiful thing, what you've been doing. Y'all keep Ak in prayer, because when you're doing the will of the Father and you just being that servant, stomach blocks, the adversary's trying, hey, how can I? But keep him in prayer, because what he's been dropping in and guiding us is a beautiful thing. And don't take this lightly. Don't take this as a good sermon. But this is something we take home with us. When we read the scriptures, don't be reading the scriptures saying, oh, I see them in that. No. Read that scripture. I couldn't find the song. I know it's Brit Yah with a guest rapper, the feature rapper was on there, and he was like, I didn't know how the Torah was I felt like the Torah was a mirror. I couldn't find the song, but I wanted to put that clip in. But when we read the scriptures, it should be a mirror to us. And if you see something, if you smile in the mirror and you see something in your teeth, what you gonna do? Get it out. You read the Torah and you see something, get it out. So once again, I thank y'all for the food that's prepared for us downstairs. I'm gonna give the hands back to you, Ak.
Well, can rise and all praises. Hearts and minds clear. All praises. Thank you, Father. Toda Rabab Yahuwah. Give you so much thanks, honor, esteem, praise. Because you're worthy, Father. Thank you for your word. Thank you for bringing us here today, allowing us to fellowship with one another. And as the proverb says, allow some iron to sharpen some iron. Pray, Father, that as we continue throughout this week, keep your word in the forefronts of our minds. If we find that we start to stray from your word, Father, reel us back in. Send your Ruach. Remind us of all truth. Let us be mindful of our mouths and how we use them, with the understanding that it can be for building up or for tearing down. Let us walk in obedience, Father. And let us continue to see ourselves in the mirror. Let us be doers of this word, not hearers only. Let us see ourselves as you see us. Show us the real us, because we know we'll hide from ourselves. And when it is revealed to us and we see ourselves for who we are, Pray that you would equip us with all of the tools that we need to make correction. Continue to guide us as we go throughout this week, and it's just my prayer that we would all be able to meet again next Shabbat. And if it be your will, tap in with one another in between time. With that, we give you all thanks, honor, and esteem in the name of Yahushua Mashiach, the one who showed us the way. Say hello to you, Yahuwah. Let it be so. Amen.